Hoardganize podcast. I am your host, professional organizer, Rachel Seavey, and it's time to get organized. Hey, collectors. Today I am welcome to have Bobby Jackson on the Hoardganize podcast. He is the new Amazon #1 best-selling author, From Stressy to Messy to Organized and Optimized. Love that title. Bobby Jackson is not only a professional organizer, but he has been in education for over 7 years. He's got 2 master's degrees in forensic biology and STEM education. At the age of 29, he is the leader at the Board of Education in his school district as a science specialist. Hi, Bobby. It's so nice to have you on the podcast today. Welcome. We'd love to hear everything that you have to share about your book and anything else.
Great. Thank you, Rachel, for having me on your show. My book is called From Stressy and Messy to Organized and Optimized. It takes organization to a different approach than what most people typically view organization as. So the reason I wrote this book is because most people view organization, they do it for sometimes the wrong reasons. They view it as a way to impress their friends or in general, just to be able to find things around the house. But the real reason behind organization should be to reduce stress in your life, to promote peace, serenity, to make yourself have no anxiety, to cleanse your mind. And so the reason I wrote this book was I want to take an approach on it that views it as a mindful strategy. It can be your yoga, it can be your exercise or listening to music, whatever mindful strategy you use. Organization can be used in that way, and it should be actually, because that's what it really does. It helps reduce stress in our lives.
It does. And I really enjoyed reading your book as well. I found lots of things that I've not seen in other organizing books. You've covered a lot of very cool topics that I haven't seen covered, and I've read a lot of organizing books. And one of the things that I wanted to kind of start out with, because I know a lot of my listeners are teachers and a lot of my listeners might have some, learning style differences, is just learning styles. What are learning styles? How can you use them to your advantage when it comes to organization?
Yeah, definitely. So typically for basic learning styles, there's 3 of them for basic. There's visual learners. You can be an auditory or oral learners, or you can be a kinesthetic learner in which you are very hands-on with things. Now, ironically, this topic's come a little bit of a debate recently because some psychologists say there's no such thing as learning styles. You use all learning styles, right? But then on the instructional approach from a teacher's perspective, who's been in the classroom with students, who is differentiating things, providing graphic organizers to certain students, presenting learning and content in a way that meets the needs of students. Instructors are on the fence of saying, yeah, learning styles do exist, or multiple intelligences, you may call them. And they do exist, and it's really important to understand one's own learning style because it helps the ease of learning content and new knowledge and new skill sets easier for you in order to be successful in the workplace, in organization, and for students in a college and career setting. So,
how does someone identify what kind of learning style they are? Or I know you could be multiple learning styles, but how do you identify what your dominant learning style is?
Okay, this is a great question. There are multiple avenues to go about doing this. One is there are many online platforms and learning quizzes that are self-assessments. There's one from educationplanner.org. There's multiple university websites that provide quizzes to introductory students that are coming into a college. And you can take these quizzes and you answer questionnaires about your preferences, specifically your skills, how you apply things, how you go about your daily life. And it can categorize into what type of learner you are, whether it's visual, whether it's hands-on or kinesthetic, whether you're a listener and you like to hear things. And some of these specific quizzes go even deeper than that. There's more specific types of learners. You can be an interpersonal learner where you like to have somebody with you communicating frequently or collaborating with somebody to learn better. You might like things in a more logical, thought-out, mathematical approach. You might like things that are visual or spatial, musically presented to you. So it's very specific to that specific learner. But yes, there are many ways to, especially online tools that can help you determine
Very
what
cool.
you are.
I love that. Okay. So anyone wanting to understand their personal learning style can go online, find one of these online quizzes and kind of utilize that, because I feel like once I've identified or helped identify people just by observing them and working with them, it's really helpful to know how people learn best. Some people, I just talk to them all day and it goes in one ear out the other. But when I'm right next to them, showing them, and they're more hands-on or visual, that always works a lot better. And I think a lot of my listeners on the podcast would be auditory learners, just because they're listening to tips and tools on how to get organized. So
Hmm.
thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
I really enjoyed your book. It covered a lot of electronic organizing, which is really cool. And could you tell us just your inspiration on that? Not too many people have covered that.
Sure. Yeah. So one of the reasons I wrote the book also is there's so much out there on physical home organization, organizing your closets, your bedroom, your bathrooms, your kitchens, but there's very minimal information out there on electronic organization. It's a very new world. As we're in the 21st century, we're getting all these jobs, all these skill sets where computers and technology are at the forefront. And people don't realize that you need to be organized electronically if you want to be efficient in the 21st century. And I've come across so many people where they have so many desktop icons where their computer is just full of icons. They can't even see the background in their images. They just have files that are organized in a non-efficient way where they can't locate files. Myself, I've been a victim of this, and I'm sure many of your listeners have too, where we've had a password to a website, and 6 months later, we forget that password. And we're like, oh crap, where is that password at? And we have to go into our email storage box, and we can't locate it. So now I have to call the company or email somebody from the company and say, hey, I need a new password. So having your email inbox also organized so that you can be more efficient as well. And you have to go down those slippery slopes in order to waste more time. So yeah, there's a lot of things like that I cover in the book as well. Even your phone apps, there's so many phone apps that we don't use that are cluttering up our phone and having to delete them, uninstall them, and then reinstall them. There are methodologies that I refer to in my book that help people with that as well. So there's DVRs, DVDs, there's your music playlist on your phone. You won't even think that. You can actually make your playlist on your phone a lot more organized, and depending on the app you use, whether it's Spotify, Rhapsody, or if you use Amazon or iTunes, like there's many ways you can be organized even with your music playlist. So there's just a lot of things people don't realize electronic that exist that can make you more efficient, but they're out there, and I definitely address them in my book, From Stressy and Messy to Organize and Optimize. But yes.
Excellent. I love that. And I look at my clients' phones and their desktops, and oh my gosh, they've got thousands of unread emails, and tons of these icons, tons of apps. And it's just, yeah, I don't really go there. I'm not really at that level of organization with people. So I think your book would be a really great place for people to say, hey, how do I organize my iPhone? And not just keep buying storage, because once you run out of your storage, then you have to buy storage. It's almost like a storage unit for your electronic files that you're never going to use. So I also enjoyed towards the end of your book, you have some really cool, is it organizing with Cabernet or something of
Oh
that?
yeah, so that's one of my strategies too about being organized. If you're organized and do something that relaxes you, for me, it's a glass of wine. So always sip up, enjoy the glass of wine. I mean, I have a Bloody Mary right here, of course. Enjoy it, relaxes you. So yeah, so always have a glass of wine, something that relaxes you. Have fun while doing it. View organization as a fun thing. It shouldn't be viewed as a chore. It shouldn't be something you're dreading to do, because if you dread organization, you're going to relapse. It's going to be something that you're not going to enjoy. You're going to wind up repeating or reorganizing the same space over and over again. So like I said, it's really important to go into the process of organizing with an open mindset, a mindset where you are able to enjoy yourself. You are realizing, hey, this is really going to impact me. It's going to impact my life. It's going to make me stress-free. When I'm stress-free, it's going to impact me physiologically as well, because when we are stressed, when we have long-term stress, long-term anxiety, that affects our bodies. So, and a lot of times, a lot of disorganization and chaos in our lives is what results in that stress and that high anxiety. So being organized and viewing organization as a mindful strategy, it's really important to take that approach.
Yeah, people don't realize how physically ill being disorganized can make you, especially after long periods of time, or, you know, the clients that I work with that suffer from hoarding disorder. I mean, they're in this constant emotional turmoil all the time, and it really doesn't do well. I mean, I've read articles where it feeds cancer, where it, you know, you live less years in life, and de-stressing is just such a great way to view decluttering versus a chore. Yeah, a lot of people view it as a chore, but if you look at it as like a healthy way to improve your health, to improve your life, you're stress free, you've got more time to do things, you can have people over, starting to focus on what kind of wonderful life you can live on versus, you know, the mundane, the chores, the, oh, I have to do my laundry. You know, if you're in that kind of a mindset, then it's hard to look forward. So I love just all the positivity in your book. You're very affirmative. You're very, you know, you're like a coach in a way, throughout the book. I really liked your style.
Great.
And,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
and so, how does one find your book? Are you on Amazon, or can they find it from your website? How does somebody?
Sure. Yeah. So here's my book. It is specifically on Amazon. It's on Amazon Kindle Unlimited. So if you have a Kindle Unlimited, you pay monthly for that. It's free to you. Otherwise, it's available on Kindle for $2.99, and then it's available on paperback for $11.99. On
Wow, that's
Amazon
so
as well.
reasonable.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. And then I think Amazon's running a promotion right now for a month, so they actually dropped the price down between $9 and $10 right now. So it's available on Amazon, from Stressy and Messy to Organize and Optimize. Yes, it's a great read. It's a very short read too. It'll only take you between 3 to 5 hours. It's a very quick, to the point, positive energy, quick. I know a lot of readers nowadays, they want something instantaneous, very quickly. They don't want to go through the long whole spiel of a 200-page book or novel. So yeah, it's between 100 and 125 pages, very reasonable. So.
Yeah, it's very well written. I really appreciate your style. I think it's very easy to read. I definitely recommend anybody listening or watching to this podcast to download it. Hopefully on the Kindle version, but we won't be mad at you if you get the paperback. I mean, I still have books. I tell my clients I have a bookshelf and I have books on them, but you know, once that shelf is full, it's time to, you know, eliminate somebody.
I have a
But
chapter on that in the book too, on how to eliminate books or how to
oh,
utilize books.
oh my gosh, you really covered a lot. I mean, you covered kitchen organization. You covered, what else did you cover, just so people know what they're getting into?
Sure. So besides what I mentioned in physical, in digital electronic organization, with physical organization, we cover closets, we cover kitchens, living rooms, we cover master regular bathrooms, we cover books, offices, office desks, and we cover papers and photo overload. We cover planners, calendars, and we also cover to-do lists, or how to make a proper list and what exactly should be on that list. And how to not make it as overwhelming. Because a lot of us, when we make lists, that to-do lists, they tend to be very, very, very long. So I go through specifically the methodologies of how to make a list that's actually efficient, and a list that you're actually going to be able to accomplish at a reasonable pace. So.
Wow, I might have to have you back on and pick your brain a little bit about that list making, because I know a lot of us just get lost in the list making. I mean, there's just lists upon lists. There's list for lists, and then you never really feel like you're getting ahead. So that's a really great subject matter to cover. And is there anything else that you'd like to share about your book?
Sure. So one thing I didn't mention earlier, going back to the learning styles, because that's our main topic of this podcast. So one thing I wanted to address with that too was, if you, again, don't like the idea of going online, taking a quiz, my one recommendation, and this is very basic, always go to that IKEA piece of furniture. When you are putting together some sort of piece of furniture, that's how you realize what type of learning style you are. It's pretty basic. Just even if you buy a $20 piece of furniture, put it together and see what's your best way. Do you like looking at the visuals? Do you like that every single nut and bolt and frame is alphabetized? Do you like just the regular directions of telling you how to put it together? Do you need somebody present with you actually reading it out loud to you, and you just put it together? Whereas that auditory comes in hand. Are you just by yourself? You like putting it together, you like seeing the pieces, and you kind of realize how they go together. So think of that one piece of IKEA furniture, and once you figure out what's your best and most efficient way of putting it together, that's when you start to realize your best learning style, which helps go hand in hand with a tactic you should use when going into the organization process. So.
Wow, that's such a cool technique. I mean, I definitely need somebody there to hold my hand through the way of building anything. I'm not very handy, so that's an interesting approach. But you know, I really appreciate you coming onto the podcast. And do you have a website, or are you pointing people directly to your book on Amazon?
Sure, my book's directly on Amazon. I provide other techniques on my Instagram. My Instagram is at Stressy, the number 2, organized. So you can follow me on Instagram at Stressy to organize. I post daily, various strategies. I post a lot of pictures of wine, of course, because why not have some wine and drinks while you're enjoying yourself? So you might see that side of me too. But I do post a lot of strategies as well that I talk about in my book on Instagram. So feel free to follow me as well. I'm glad to help out people.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. Again, I really recommend that people buy your book, read it. It's really full of a lot of nuggets that I personally have not come across in any other book. So I'm really supportive of you.
A great thing. I appreciate that. Thank you for taking the time to read it. Yes, and I hope a lot of listeners out there will read it. Again, it's very helpful. There's a lot of things you wouldn't even consider that areas that need to be organized, and the book dives into that. It makes you realize, oh my gosh, this does exist in my life, and I really could be organized with that through in that modality or whatever.
And I like that you have photos on your book too. A lot of people don't have photos, and that's so important to have like just a visual reference to what you're reading. At least
and I will say every photo in my book is of my house or of my desktop. So all the photos are authentic. It's specifically my house, my home, my living room, office, closets, desktop computer. So it's authentic in that sense as well. I'm not just taking it off of Instagram or Google like other people do, but so it's very authentic in that sense as well.
Yeah, I could tell with your little wine
Okay.
display, and then was it Desperate Housewives wine glass, or what was that?
The Real Housewives of Annapolis.
No, very authentic. I really appreciate it. And I'd love to have you back on again. Again, listeners, you can find Bobby Jackson's From Stressy to Messy to Organized and Optimized on Amazon, and you can follow him on Instagram.
No, great. Thank you. Yes, I love to be back. Sure. Whenever we can talk about education, organization, whatever you want.
Sounds great. Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot,
so much.
Bobby.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. So there you have it, Bobby Jackson. What a fun interview. I have to say, I really, truly enjoyed reading his book. There's a lot of gold nuggets in there. You've got to download it on Amazon. Follow him on Instagram. If you are watching this on YouTube, I would love to hear what you have to say about my podcast. Make sure you click the thumbs up button, that you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, and follow me on Instagram also. I'm under Collector Care 1. Until next time, collectors, and remember, happiness is a place between too little and too much.